Okay, oh my god. Guys, look what happened. So, in the, 3 months since I started this channel and put up my collection videos, you know, this happened. So this is not normal for me, by the way. My collection was years in the making, and this, all of this right here, the 12 decks that I have gotten in the last few months, is solely the result of tarot brain. Now, Webster's Dictionary defines tarot brain as an obsession with the tarot that overtakes your entire life to a ridiculous extent. Look it up, it's a thing. So I was suffering from tarot brain, and this happened. Yeah, like I said, this is not normal. I don't normally buy so many decks in such a short amount of time. But I've had tarot brain, and it's been fun. I don't really plan on buying very many more decks in the near future, I swear. I don't know why I'm defending myself. Fuck you, I love my tarot decks. But yeah, the only decks I really plan on getting in the near future is the Pagan Otherworld when it comes out in August, and Tabula Mundi whenever that is released. I don't think it has a release date yet. So before I jump into my tarot collection update, that happened really, really quickly, I do just want to give a shout out to Miss Jess Johnson, who just had me on her channel for a little tarot chat / interview. I will put a link below if you guys have any interest in listening to us bullshit about tarot for like an hour and a half. By all means, check it out. It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Jess. Oh, also, this is going to be part 5 of my tarot collection. I know there's been a little bit of confusion out there. Part 4 of my collection is all my oracle decks and Lenormands and Sibyllas and all that kind of stuff. I do have a playlist, and I will put this guy into the playlist, so this will become part 5. And I'm also not going to separate things out as we go into the future. I do only have one non-tarot deck in here, but yeah, most of my decks are going to be, you know, tarot decks, because that's my love. I love me some tarot. So I'm going to start here with La Corte Dei Tarocchi. The first couple decks I already actually have reviews up of on my channel, and this is one of them. But that's the backs. This is an amazing Il Meneghello deck. Came out in 1999. The artwork is by a woman named Anna D'Onofrio. Like, just holy shit, this deck is beautiful. The cardstock is unbelievable. It's beautiful, it's thick, it's thin, it's long, it's oddly shaped. It has this amazing medieval Renaissance style artwork. And it's sort of, it's a Marseille style deck. It has pip cards, I'll get to them in a second. The color is just what blows my mind in this. Can you see like the fire back there? The orange and the pinks and the yellows just pop in this deck. So this is technically a pip, but the aces are pretty well decorated. Look at that dragon! I love him! Here's a pip card. This is the 3 of coins or discs. Here's the 6 of swords. So they're pip cards with a bit of illustration, a bit of flair to them. And everything is in Italian. Look at that world card. I love that card. I don't know if you guys are catching that. The orange on the chest of the woman's shirt there, it looks like neon in person almost. It just jumps out. But it looks like it belongs, you know, it's not weird. Yeah, look at that orange. I have wanted this deck for years and years and years and years, and I finally just bit the bullet and ordered this sucker. Like I said, I do have a full review and a whole walkthrough of this deck up on the channel. Check it out. So next up is the Victoria Regina Tarot. There's those backings. This is the only other deck in here right now that I do have a full review up of also at the moment. I couldn't wait with these two. I have so many decks to review, but I got these two and I was like, I have to show them to everybody. They're amazing. So this deck came out in 2002. and went out of print pretty quickly afterwards, pretty soon after. It's been a little bit hard for me to track down. I came across this copy on eBay in the last couple of months and just flipped out and scooped it up as quick as I saw it. I've wanted this deck for so long. So this deck it's a collage deck utilizing like commercial engravings from the Victorian era, from the 19th century. And it's black and white, obviously. It just has this amazing feel. Look at that card. This is like one of my favorite Justice cards. And the suits are fun. They're guns, fountain pens, mason jars. You can see that there. And pocket watches. And there is Oscar Wilde himself. There's lots of Queen Victoria pictures, and yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. So you can check out the review if you want to see more. And I will eventually be reviewing all of my, I guess, 90 plus decks now. So up next, this is a deck you may have seen if you've been watching the Living the Tarot series. This is another Owald Wirth Majors deck of mine. I now have a regular, like a 78 card, which he didn't create a 78 card deck, but I have that deck. And then I have the newly released one with the sparkly backgrounds that I was a little disappointed in. So I treated myself to this deck. This is the deck that came with this book, The Wisdom of the Tarot by Elizabeth Heisch. It is in German. I found it on eBay, but it came with these cards, and I yelped a little bit when I saw it. Had to have. So apparently I did a little research too. All of the decks I have all seem to actually be the 1926 version of the Owald Wirth Tarot. I do not have one of the 1889, I think it is, his original tarot. There have been a few recreations of it over the years. There is one out there available right now. I'll try and put a link below. But it is like super expensive, but I might save up for it and get it because I need it. But this is just a deck that I'm obsessed with. I love his esoteric tarot. It's absolutely beautiful. And I love that this version maintained, all the detail in the background that you lost in that 78 card Owald Wirth Tarot, the one that I showed in my other collection video. So yeah, it's basically on very thin paper. There's not really a backing on it. It's not as thin as like regular book paper, but I can shuffle with it. I wouldn't riffle shuffle with it, but I can shuffle the cards and do a reading. You just have to be very, very careful. But yeah, this is my baby right now. Oh, amazing. And here is another deck that you guys might find familiar. I haven't done a proper review of this deck just yet. Excuse me, but I do have a sort of an unveiling or a little bit of a walkthrough when it first came. And I was acting like a friggin' maniac. I was so excited. This deck has changed my life, no joke. This is the deck I have been waiting for my entire life. It has shot right to my top 5, my favorite decks of all time. And this is what it looks like. This is the Orbifold Tarot, by the way. I guess I could tell you the name. By Michael Bridge Dickinson. How cool is that? It's got like black edging already. It comes like that. I didn't do that. So the Orbifold Tarot, this is the mini version, by the way, uses these very simple representations of circles, like sacred geometry. The circles and the colors, the elements, the geometry and the shape and the color, and it's a very simple approach to the tarot. It gets you in touch with the basics, what tarot really is when you get right down to the heart and soul of it. And that is just one of the things that I am absolutely obsessed with in this deck. It's just amazing. This is what the minor arcana look like. And there's the 6 of water, the 10 of fire, and here's another major. All the majors are black backgrounds like this, and then they have, you know, the color of the whatever elements are incorporated into that card. And there's the Hermit. Looks like the lamp of the Hermit. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do a really good review of this deck because it is so close to my heart right now. Just absolutely amazing deck. Next up is a deck that I spoke about in Tarot News, April 2016, and this is the original Steampunk Tarot. It is a majors only deck. That is what the backs look like. They are very busy backs, but they're really cool. And this is what they look like. Here is the Empress. How friggin' amazing is that? I did edge this deck because it had the black border on the outside, or on the backs, and the black border around the fronts of the cards too. There's a Game Crafter deck, and the images all come from like genuine prints from the Victorian era, very similar to the Victoria Regina, how that one was done. This one I don't believe was collaged or photoshopped it all together, though. This is sort of just how they were found and placed on the cards in a very, very cool way. They all really, really work well. Aren't they beautiful? There are so many steampunk themed decks out there, and this is the only one that I have ever been like really drawn to get. I love how some of the cards are like have to be held long ways to see the picture. How neat is that? Look at that. It's just a really fun, really, really fun deck. It's really smart too. Here's one more. Here's the Hermit. Yeah, this one just, he called out to me. Had to have him. And I will put links below to where you can find all these decks. Next up, we have the Timeless Tarot. How beautiful are these backs? Oh my god, I so plan on edging this deck, by the way. I think I'm going to do it in gold. How pretty will that be? So, Timeless Tarot by a woman named Tara Winstanley. And that's what they look like. So they all have these borders around them, but because it's colored, this is my favorite card in the entire deck, by the way. How cool is that Devil? It's very rare that a Devil card is my favorite card in the deck, but oh my god, I love the alchemical feel of this one. It's so good. What was I saying? It's the other reason I had to have this deck, actually. Oh, there's birds! Look at that! Oh, the borders. Yeah, the borders don't bother me at all because they're textured and they're colored, and I feel like it sort of works with this deck. But they are all, you know, artwork. It's not collaged or anything. Nothing was done to the images. Just chose images for each card. But the artwork sort of spans the century. I think it dates back as far as I want to say the 14th century or something like that, all the way up to maybe early 20th century or something like that. And it does follow a Rider-Waite-Smith tradition pretty closely. You know, things look very different, but it still sort of follows the Rider-Waite-Smith meaning of things. Like, look at that. That's your 7 of Swords right there. I think the images that she chose for each card, this is one of the things I love about this deck so far, is again, she just was really, really smart about the choices for each card. They're so well done. This is the Wheel of Fortune as a peacock. Come on, how great is that? They have a smaller size, but it's a nice sturdy cardstock. The cards feel great in your hand. Look at that 3 of Swords. Yeah, it's a really, really beautiful deck. I'll get a review up ASAP, you know, at some point. Actually, I know Elise at Wild Moon Tarot did just put up a review of this deck. I had mine on order when she put hers up. I was like, perfect timing. The Timeless Tarot, by the way, this is a self-published deck that is only available on Etsy right now. So this next deck is, you might recognize these backings. This is the famous 1JJ Swiss. And this is a deck that I have wanted forever. And I really wanted to find a copy that had the old French titles at the bottom, and I finally came across one for a very decent price on eBay. Love eBay. This deck is in order at the moment, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, I'll show you a few. It is an engraved deck. Actually, this deck's claim to fame is that it was U.S. Games' very first tarot deck that they ever released. And it is an engraved deck. It's based off a deck that I believe, when did it come out? 1830, 1831, something like that. But it's been revised several times over the years, so it's not, you know, an exact reproduction or anything of an historical deck. And it is a Marseille variant, as you can see here. The number 2, the High Priestess or the Popess, is Juno or Hera with her peacock. And then also in this deck, there he is, the Hierophant or the Pope becomes Jupiter or Zeus with his eagle. I love engraved decks. There's something so old and regal about them. You know, they tend to be more detailed than the woodblock cuts. You know, the old Marseille decks. And there's lots of just really interesting little details about this. Look at the World card, sort of missing the other 2 fixed signs. And then you have your classic Marseille wands and cups. Swords look like that. And your coins. So yeah, I'll do a full walkthrough of this guy at some point. I love plaid backings. I don't know what it is. They're just so fun. They're so 70s. Next up, we have another engraved Marseille deck. This is the Epinal Tarot, or the Tarot d'Epinal. Sorry, butchering French again. Oh, I have him in order too. I was comparing this one to the 1JJ. So where the 1JJ Swiss deck is a reproduction of an old Swiss deck, this is a reproduction of a French deck from around the same time, about 1830. Excuse me. So it has an awful lot of similarities. Some of the artwork is really different. Some of the names are really fascinating in this deck too. Look at that. The Magician is the Conjurer. But look at that. It is also a variant. You know, it has the Juno and Jupiter as your priestess and your Hierophant. I love the detail on this card though. Look at her. She's like standing on the 2 peacocks. Where in the other deck it's shush police. Where in the other deck, those 2 cards, especially Juno and Jupiter, are very simplistic. It almost looks like they don't really belong with the rest of the deck. This one has much more detail in those cards. And some of your classic poses are just sort of odd in this deck. It's really a very interesting deck. This is where and who made the deck on the side of a number of the cards there. I think it's on the first 4 or 5. And then there's your Jupiter. Look here, he has the eagle, and it's Zeus, but he's holding like thunderbolts. Isn't that great? Again, it just has that very old feel to it. I love both of these decks. They're just amazing. Strength. Let's show you some of the minors. There's your wands and your baton. Sorry, here's your swords. I skipped something. No, they're just in a funny order. Yeah, there they are. There's your cups and your coins. Tarot, the Epinal Tarot. The Epinal Tarot? The Epinal Tarot. Something like that. Aren't these backs trippy too? And next we have yet another reproduction. This is a deck that I have been hunting for years and years and years. You would not think that the classic Marseille, the Nicolas Convert deck, would be so hard to get your hands on. But it really was for me. So this is like a mass-produced reproduction by Heron, Heron. But this is a reproduction. You can see down here it even has that you know, that stamp of the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris, where these original cards are kept. You can tell it has this, you know, white, stark white border around the outside, where it differs from the actual card with that aged look. So it's, you know, it's not high quality like an Il Meneghello deck or something, but this is what I wanted. I just wanted a copy of this deck that I could look at and read with and enjoy. This is, you know, your classic Marseille is what this has become, the Convert deck. 1761, I believe it first hit the scenes. But it's a nice copy, you know. It's beautiful. It's classic. Love it. It's hard to see the lobster in there, but he is down there in the water. This is such an old, beautiful deck. And there's your sun. I think I really enjoy the backings that they put on it too. Very simple, reversible, very pretty. And that brings us to this little guy here. Now, this is the only deck I have up here right now that is actually not a tarot deck. And what this guy is a Petit Patella deck. This version from GameCrafter, this is an English translation of it. This has been around since about 2012. And it has been sitting in my shopping cart for about that long. It's the Petit Patella by Eric Bowers, and he also did the translation for it. So when I went to scoop up this Steampunk and I found this guy still in my cart, I was like, oh my god, you just need to bite the bullet and buy this thing already. It's only like 25 bucks or something. But it is an utterly fascinating piece of history, piece of tarot history even. This is an Patella, you know, Patella deck. And I stayed away from really learning too much about this at all because it was in French and it didn't make any sense and it seemed so overly complicated. But over the years I've taken to studying Patella and reading what's been translated, and I mean just getting sucked into the whole thing. So I'm learning, you know, the traditional way of reading these cards, which is pretty convoluted and very interesting, and also messing around with, you know, exploring my own way of reading it. There's so many cool things about this deck. First of all, this is the only deck that has ever been verified, I believe, that Mademoiselle Lenormand actually used in her cartomancy. This Petit Patella deck. How cool is that? They just look so neat with all the writing on it. Grimaud put out a version of this deck, but everything is in French. But this is the same thing, just translated pretty correctly from what I can understand and what Eric Bowers has to say anyway, to English. So there's really interesting things you do to read this deck. You lay things out from left to right, and you're counting and you're adding numbers together, and oh Jesus, I won't get into it right now. I will make a video when I have finished my study of this deck. But yeah, this is the Petit Patella English translation by Eric Bowers, and you can find it up on thegamecrafter.com. Plaidbacks. Okay, so these last two decks are both Papus style tarot decks, of which I am obsessed at the moment. I'm so happy. I've wanted a copy of any sort of a Papus tarot for so long, and I was able to get my hands on this one, which came out in 1982, and this is the version that looks like this. It's pretty trippy and out there. It is based on what that deck is going to look like. I'll show you in a second, which comes right out of Papus's book, the Divinatory Tarot from 1909. Now that book was only translated into English pretty recently, like 2008 or 2009. So it's been sort of a recent fascination of mine, especially working with these decks that didn't appear until that, or for me, it didn't appear until that book. Anyway, it sort of looks like this. Oh, he's all in order. Look at that. This is a deck by Oliver Stephane. I will put the write out the name below. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. They do have these very Patella-like minors. Most of the upper boxes look the same. However, in the Papus decks here, you find these talismans down below that are so fascinating, and you know they appear to be based on these. Like the Shem angel associations that Levy talks about in these certain manuscripts that you can find out there that are sort of translated into English. I love the wands look like rays or nails. Anyway, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm definitely going to do a video comparing these two decks and talking about Papus tarot stuff in general. You know, I very much so have a fascination with the French occult tradition. So this is the other deck, and this deck looks very much exactly like how things look in the book. Although I have all this, well, this is all in French, unfortunately. I wish there was Eric Bowers, translate this into English. But in the book that came out in 2009, the Divinatory Tarot, all this stuff is translated for you in the pictures in the book. I will put a link below to where I found this deck. When I bought it, you couldn't get a color version. They were sold out of it, but I believe they are back in stock, or will be by August or something like that, of both the black and white version of this deck, which looks like this, and the color version, which is beautiful too. So, I mean, there's dates and times and lots of associations on these decks, and I agree with them. I love it. Oh, that French occult tradition. You know, he draws from Levy. He draws from Patella. So this is basically the deck that wasn't actually released as a deck until, I don't know, just recently. It was only in that book by Papus. But this is the deck, or the images that deck is very, very much based on. Yeah, so more Patella and Papus and Levy and who are the videos to come. If that doesn't sound exciting to you, and that sounds boring, I'm so sorry. Why do I get so excited over this stuff? I just love it. Yeah, that's just me dorking out on tarot. All right, I'm done with my tarot collection update. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. Bye.